Thank you, studio audience, and welcome back. And welcome to this edition of Getting to Know Tim, Your Questions Answered, Episode 1. I asked you last week to send in some questions or comments or whatever, and we talk about them this week. And you delivered. Sent in a lot of them, a lot of good ones, a lot of weird ones, a lot of, but I told you, everything you ask, I'm going to answer. I'm going to do it in order. So I'm going to try to run through it quickly so you don't get bored. But some of the questions are good. But this first question, the first one that was sent to me, Tim, do you dye your mustache? First of all, it's not a mustache. It's a Fu Manchu. But to answer your question, if it means that much, yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I tell people that there's very little about me that is real. I'm not normally this tanned. I'm outside a lot. I'm not normally this size. I lift a lot. And my mustache isn't normally this color. Because I don't want to look like what I see people my age look like. If you got to go kicking and screaming all the way. All right, so let's move on. Let's get to some serious, hardcore, hard-hitting questions. A lot of questions about working out, a lot of questions about cigars. What is your favorite lift? Well, I like chest flies. I like flies because it pumps up everything. As a matter of fact, when I was competing backstage, you had to pump up before you went on stage, right? Well, a lot of people think you do arms and all this stuff. No, I just do several sets of high rep flies and it just pumps up everything. So I like having a tight chest working that muscle. I like them all, but that one's probably the favorite. What's your favorite cigar alcohol pairing? Now, I've answered this a bunch. I'm not an expert on pairing cigars with alcohol. I like straight bourbon, no ice, just straight as God intended. And I also like ruby port. So if I have a cigar with a drink, I'll probably have one of those with it. If you had to pick one brand of cigars to smoke, what would it be? I wouldn't. I'd pick a region, and it'd be Nicaragua. And I don't think that's a shock to anybody. As a matter of fact, I'm having an H up in Nicaragua right now. I had a comment from Brian Allison. He thought the relight idea was good. And it does work. And I had someone else, and I'll get to it in a minute, that said they do the same thing, only they clip off the burnt end about a half inch or so and then relight it that way, going through the same motion. And that is also a good idea. And I have done that in the past, but I don't always do that. But you can. What are your favorite Scotch, bourbon, or etc.? I already answered that. Bourbon and ruby port. But as far as bourbon, it's Eagle Rare, Booker's, something along that line. What is your favorite budget cigar box purchase? I would say, coincidentally, didn't plan this one. You can get them online at great prices a lot of times. So I would say the H up in Nicaragua is one of my favorite. I don't know if you call it a budget cigar, but you can get it on sale, so it's great prices. Do you or can you roll your own cigars? Nope. Nope, I cannot. Woodshaven Patriot, what a name. Said his father was a pharmacist also. My father was a pharmacist. He was just commenting on that. Here's a good question from Jose Robles. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Says, how do you keep up with new releases? That's a good question. I subscribe to a lot of email mailing lists from different cigar companies. And That's where you're going to get a lot of new release information. I also just subscribe to as many as you can because that's going to get you the most information. One of my sponsors is Small Batch Cigar, and you could I would say every day you could go there and on their website, on the click down, pull down menu, it has new releases. Click on that and see if there's anything new came out today or this week. If they did, you might want to act quickly because a lot of times they don't stick around. What are your thoughts on Nicotine Rush from Free Gaza 87? Nicotine Rush from cigars, and how do you battle nicotine sickness? Well, we're all going to run into this sooner or later. Have something on your stomach before you have the cigar, especially if it's full bodied. And if it does hit you, you can eat some sugar. Sugar, plain old sugar, something with sugar in it, but say a teaspoon of sugar, it'll nullify the effects of the nicotine. Here's another question related to bodybuilding and lifting. It's from NM Solo 07, talking about he must be, well, he says he's around 40, and he's noticed a lot of kids and people in the gym with steroids and HGH and that kind of thing. He's wanting to know if it was prevalent in my time, during my days in the gym, as it is now. I don't know about how it is now. Back in my day, pretty much that sort of thing was left to people who competed. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Nowadays, I will say, though, with the advent of copying and fake stuff, I wouldn't trust anything. So I don't know anything about what it is today, but I would be careful. There's too many fake things out there. Anyway, let's move on. Do you do anything special when smoking indoors? Well, yes, I do. I have two things besides the fan to my left and a fan to my right going out the window. You'll notice smoke goes that way because that's out the window. That fan blows it to that fan, which takes it out the window. But inside the house, there is an Air Pura T600 shown here. And I also use something called an Alexandria lamp, which burns 91% alcohol. And it fills the air and disinfects the air. Those can be found on eBay or any Amazon anywhere for about $50, and it burns 91% alcohol. Or you can get scented versions. I prefer just a nice clean alcohol. You don't really even smell it. Oh, here it is. NM Solo 07 talked about the same trick with relighting a cigar. Are you bored yet? I hope not. Tim, what do you do for work? I'm in a family business. My wife actually is the president of her stepfather's company. He passed away 10, 11 years ago, but we're in the forklift business. We sell and service forklifts. What do you do to kill cigar breath? Well, it's not easy. What do? I don't worry about it too much, but a strong mouthwash would help, or mints. They make a ton of things to help it, but it all boils down to masking it. It's hard to get rid of it. I don't know. Try that. What is the best humidity for aging and smoking, in your opinion? In my humidor that I can set the humidity, I set it at 62%. Some people live and die by 70. I don't. I think that's a little too high. The cigars will probably smoke okay at that point, but they can also be just damp enough that the tobacco is a little bit constricted. The lower the humidity, the more open the cigar will be, and it will flow better. And 62 is fine. That's what I do mine at. A political question. What are your thoughts on President Trump? Okay, I don't want to get into politics because I want everybody to love me, but I'll just say this about President Trump. I love him. How tall are you? September Phoenix. Know him well as far as the video comments and his support of me. How tall are you? 5'8.5". So not too. What was your favorite exercise for targeting traps? Well, that's easy. Shrugs. I mean, anything you do for your shoulders is going to work your traps, but shrugs will do it. A little too much talking, not enough puffing. Oh, well, I guess we're down to the last page of questions, which is fine. Let's see. Out of Order Cigars said they enjoyed the channel and was asking about energy drinks. This has turned into a workout segment. Okay, for energy, honey. Very good. And I take pre-workout drinks before I work out, usually around 250 milligrams of caffeine and other things in there, but that's usually what I do. Tim, do you have a short temper? You want me to get my wife in here to answer that, or you want me to tell you? Somewhat. I try not to, but sometimes it is shorter than I want it to be. All right, about traveling, do you, I'm not sure what he means by this. Do you blast and cruise, or at this point, just cruise? I'm not sure what that means. I'm assuming it means, do I fly? I'll ask the question for him. Do you prefer cruising, or do you prefer resorts where you stay? We've gotten to the point where we love resorts. We like to get there, settle down, and relax. Went on a cruise last year. Enjoyed it. Like the resort better. Here's something that more cigar related. What were your last 5 box purchases? Well, I had to think about this one. I actually had to write it down. The Deliverance Nocturne that I reviewed this year that I rated so high, I bought a box of those. H. Upmann Finca La Lilia. I'm a fan of those. I bought a couple boxes of those in the last several months. Supreme Leaf that I reviewed a few weeks ago. Found a box of those before they totally disappeared. And here recently, Isabella had a box they called the C19 Survival Kit. Got some of those. Other than that, it's been a lot of 5-packs and singles or whatever, mostly 5-packs for review, actually. Sonny Ray Dean says he respects my palate. Thank you. And Tim, you should revisit some old favorites that you haven't smoked in a while from Czar S. That's worth considering if for some reason I totally run out of new releases, which, crossing my fingers, I won't. I got some more in today, so probably next week we'll get back to doing reviews. But this has been hopefully enlightening to you. We can do it again. You can post new questions at the end of this video if you want to. And at some point down the road, we'll get to those. And because this is actually a business, if you have a few shekels laying around you want to throw my way, if you go to my website, you can help sponsor me. You can do a one-time donation or set it up monthly, which would be actually better and cheaper feeling for you, $5 or $10 a month on a rotating basis. But anyway, I appreciate your viewership, and please support my sponsors on the blog. But that'll do it for Getting to Know Tim. Your questions answered. Episode 1.